feel like you're nothing, but you wanna be something. Yeah. Well, all you really need is hope. I just want you to trust me if you wanna be something.
That's right. Let's go. Yeah, when you're feeling down and you're out, like you got nothing but doubt, you're alone in the crowd, just trying to figure it out. All that is bad, and this money got you feeling left out. Listen up to me now, every word that's out of my mouth. Wake up, it's me. You gonna follow your dreams, or are you just gonna be another cog in the scene? You feel the hope in this beat, yeah, the hope that you need to proceed and be exactly what you wanted to be. I feel right, and I'm proud, hype and I'm loud. I'ma shout all about how I feel in the now. Ain't nobody ever gonna try to change me till I'm dead, pushing up daisies. I'm alone in the crowd, I won't feel down. I got hope right now, and I know I'll be found. I don't really care just what all other haters gotta say. I know everything I do is gonna make them fade away.
And when you feel like you're nothing, but you wanna be something. Yeah. Well, all you really need is hope. I just want you to trust me if you wanna be something.
Yeah.
Then all you really need is hope.
Take a look in the mirror, are you seeing some fear? You hear the voice in your ear, can you start to see clear? Are the bad thoughts near? Or can you be where your feet are, yeah, when you stand right here and say no? I'm never gonna give up, I'm never gonna slow. The one that doesn't give up, never loses to a foe. The one that could show to myself I could go all the way to the top, can't stop me. I'm a soldier, always closer till it's over. Older, but I'm bolder, moving forward, motor, never slower. Good to know ya, don't go make me drop my shoulder. You need to believe you can achieve everything that you dream. Everything that you need is in the air that you breathe. It's in the mind that you feed. It's in the time that you bleed. Every second of life is another blessing to me.
And when you feel like you're nothing, but you wanna be something. Yeah. Well, all you really need is hope. I just want you to trust me if you wanna be something.
Let's go. It's what you need when you're down, need when you're out. It's what you need when you're sad and when you feel left out. You feel an energy drought and then creeps out, but with a little bit of hope you can figure it out. Keep your head high even when you're down inside. Through the pain you fight and through the painful nights you keep striving, keep trying, keep driving, rising, keep thriving, surviving. Nothing's in your way but yourself. Don't need nobody's help. You can make it through this hell. Take it one step at a time, one step as you climb. If you fail you'll be fine. Get back up to the grind and never lose sight of your mission. Be driven. This life is a prison if you don't have vision. You're in it to win it, so get it, don't miss it. Your chances now, so be something somehow. Don't let yourself down. That's right. Sometimes all we really need is hope.
Hey guys, good morning. How are you? I hope everybody's doing well. It's been a while. I think it's been all this week. I haven't gone live, I don't think. And so welcome. Hi, hello. Sorry that I haven't been live as much. You guys know that I have been working a full-time job now in addition to doing this, which would not be an issue. However, with the kids still home and things like that, we're struggling with the schedule right now, but my mother-in-law retires officially on the 1st. I will no longer be trying to balance doing full-time work and doing this and things like that. She's going to take my daughter for 2 days a week and we will have more availability, which is nice. Thank you so much for all of you guys who have been supporting me for so long. Lip lock no more. I totally understand, hon. I'm in the same situation. My one card expired. I lost everyone. Then I had a card get hacked after I redid everybody, and I just have kind of left it go, and I need to get back onto it, but it's just one of those things, you know? And so it's okay. I totally know you have been a member of mine for, oh goodness, it would be 20 months, I think, right around within in the bushes. And so I know and love and appreciate you still. Lise, happy 6 months. Rexy, happy 7 months. Thank you so much, Struggle Israel. Yeah, I've been missing you guys too. Been missing you guys too. Sadly, there has been a lot of crazy in this morning or in this world in the last couple of weeks, and I have a lot of lives scheduled for today just to go over the different things. We're going to be talking about the Maine massacre, the Maine rampage, whatever you want to call it, this morning. They do have a press conference scheduled for in 30 minutes. It's at 10 a.m. And so we're going to watch the press conference together. I want to talk a little bit about the victims of this tragedy, and talk a little bit about the people who have been affected by this. And so I am going to take you guys, this is a CNN article. It's been having all of the updates, and they've also been talking about the different victims. And then the one I was showing at the beginning of the video, while I was getting everything set up, it does have a couple of pictures of some of the victims. Everybody is showing his face, which is important because he is still out there on the loose. You know, they need to catch Robert Card, this man who did this tragedy, who who committed this horrible, horrible crime. Um, but in the meantime, you know, we got to share his face, but we also need to remember the people who have lost their lives in this situation. There are so many families who have been affected by this. And so just please, I ask you to keep them in prayers and keep them in your thoughts. Thank you so much, Lise, for gifting memberships. Holy smokes, I've been gone so long that StreamYard has now updated to include gifted memberships as something we can highlight. That's exciting. Oh, that's so awesome. Welcome, Crafty Chris. Welcome, Petunia, Rondar, Jane Doe. Welcome, welcome. Thank you. That's so cool that we can highlight it now. That was not a thing the last time I went live. Good morning to everybody else I did not say good morning to. I'm so sorry, you guys. I love you all so much for being here. Okay, and so let's take a look at this article. So this one is the one that I was showing. I just wanted to show their pictures because these victims, the people who lost their lives, you know, my heart just breaks for their families. And so this is Trisha. She is confirmed to be one of the victims who died at Just in Time Recreation. Her brother, who asked to be not named, confirmed that with ABC. So this is her. So she was the only woman who was killed at the bowling alley. Bill Brackett is another one of the deceased. They do not have a picture of him, but his father, William Brackett, did confirm that. And he was part of the gathering of the deaf people who were playing cornhole at Schmiegen's, I'm going to say that wrong every single time, at the bar and grill. So this is Payne Brewer Ross. Oh, sorry. His employer confirmed his death via Facebook on Thursday. Tommy Conrad left behind a 9-year-old daughter. He was the new manager at the bowling alley. Michael Deslores, I apologize in advance if I say their name incorrectly. The second, he is confirmed as one of the victims of the shooting. His sister said that he loved golfing and bowling and bowled in a league once or twice a week. She said he had a knack for making people laugh. A lot of times my brother was quick to crack a joke when he really shouldn't. My brother was also very selfless and he would do anything for anybody. He had a girlfriend and 3 children that he left behind. This is Bob. He was also at the bowling alley. Stephen was confirmed by his brother. It says, according to his brother, he was part of the gathering of the deaf playing cornhole at the bar and grill. Joseph Walker was confirmed. And it says his father told ABC News that his son attempted to go after the gunman, but he was shot twice in the stomach. He died a hero. So that's a few of them. Yeah, Satan does target good people. It is. It's extremely sad. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Boo Will. So good to see you guys, all of you. I'm so sorry that it's on such horrible circumstances. So this one has live updates. This is the article that I gave you guys the link to on CNN. And this one, they have been doing updates throughout. And so this is where I see, of course, they're gonna have this press conference at 10 a.m. We will watch this press conference once it pops up. So it says, "Beloved interpreter of the death among those killed in the Lewiston mass shooting. Joshua Seal had been taking part in the cornhole tournament for the deaf athletes at the bar and grill when he was killed on Wednesday, according to his wife. Says Seal's employer, Pine Tree Society, said he was their director of interpreting services, they wrote on Facebook. He was a husband, a father of four, and a tireless advocate for the deaf community. He was committed to creating a safe space for deaf people and was widely known as an ASL interpreter for Dr. Saha's pandemic briefings. The ripple effects of his loss will be felt by countless Maine people. Said he gained attention during the pandemic as one of the lead interpreters for the deaf in Maine. The governor and the governor Janet Mills and Dr. Narav said during daily COVID-19 briefings. So he was the person who was on the news basically a lot, doing these interpretations for the news during COVID-19. So it says they lost four cherished members during the shootings. It was said that this guy targeted soft targets, and whenever they say that, basically it means that he intentionally targeted gatherings of people that he knew would be unarmed and or would not defend themselves. And it's really devastating because he targeted this cornhole tournament and then a youth gathering at the bowling alley. It's just senseless. So, so senseless. Amy, I honestly I did not see yesterday's. I missed it. Hi, B Tim. Hey. Hi, BC. Hi, Kim. Hi, Roberta. Okay. So they are still sheltering in place for 700 square miles. They have no clue where this guy is. They're saying now that they have found a phone and a letter that he had left behind. However, the phone and the letter that he left behind does not have a motive. Not that, I mean, so motives, I understand our desire to know why, right? Obviously that's why I've gotten into true crime, to know the whys and to see what can we do to help prevent things like this in the future. How can we do things differently? Like what could we have seen? Could somebody have stopped this? Could they have interacted? And there's a lot of, answers behind all of that as far as, the who, what, where, why, when, hows. I mean, this guy he was put into a facility for 2 weeks because of his mental health issues and somehow was able to keep his weapons. I mean, I think at that point, there should be some type of process, like, weapons should have to be surrendered, I think, and then a process to earn them back. Letting him keep his weapons after already declaring that he had some type of mental health issues going on, obviously was not a wise decision. Um, but as far as the motive behind it, even if they tell us the why, it'll never make sense. I mean, for most of us, right? It will never make sense still why the things like this happens and why some people are just pure evil. The motivation to take the lives of 18 people, and he was intending to take the lives of more than that, to target such helpless individuals. It's the same thing with people who target schools or churches or whatever, there is no gang type violence going on. There is no anger at like one individual person that you go after. I can understand crimes of passion to a certain degree, right? This will never make sense. This type of crap, I will never ever understand or get it. And so looking for the motive, yes, okay. Like, sure, we wanna know what drove him there, what made him want to do it, but even if we know, it still won't make sense, and then again, will it even continue to be the true motive? Ringo had sent a message in my Discord showing a screenshot of his Twitter profile, and he had made comments about, these type of events in the past, and it just didn't he still just did this, you know what I mean? Like, and so it's just I don't know. B Tim, thank you so much, B Tim. Sorry, I just popped over and seen this. Thank you so much for gifting 10 memberships, B Tim. Welcome to absolutely everyone. Amy M, Boo Will, Ramblin' Rome, Kiki's Eyes, Kim, Danette, Cindy, Bamboo, Grateful Middle-Aged Cat Mama, Lane. Good morning, Cammie. Good morning, Tracy. Hi, Anne. It's so good to see you guys. Seriously, I love this community too. I am sorry for the content. It does. It never ends. You heard that he had gotten high-powered hearing aids. Really? He was hearing voices? Interesting. You heard that this was started when the hearing aid was put in. Wow. Right. You don't think you could ever make sense of that truly mentally ill? Me either. He had said that voices were coming from those two places. So that's what they're saying the motive was, that he was hearing voices. Right. I don't know. We will never really truly understand it. Um, I don't know. So it says careful planning. They point to where they say there was evidence of careful planning about this. So now they're wondering, where could he have gone? One example is the location where his white Subaru was found. It was 8 miles southeast of Lewiston, raising the possibility that he absconded on the water. Did he have a boat there? Was he aware of a boat that he could have taken? Was there another plan? I mean, this is the issue too. Normally, whenever these type of events happen, the person who did this event is caught almost instantly, or they are killed throughout the process of the police going in and stopping the person, stopping the bad guy, or they're arrested, right? Now this guy's on the loose. We have no clue where he is, and I'm hoping that their press conference eases that a little bit and they have some type of a sense of where he is, because this is terrifying. I mean, this guy is armed, loaded, planned this, and is now out there somewhere. I mean, they have the whole entire state pretty much locked down. But the issue is he's so close with the water and different things to Canada, to other states, he could be anywhere. And so then it raises the questions of, you know, how many people are still in danger? Will he do this again? Was it just because the voices were coming from those facilities? Or is there a possibility that now the voices will come from a different facility and this guy could do this again? It's terrifying, terrifying to think of the fact that he was able to get away, that he was able to to um to be on the loose still, that he's still out there. My heart has been going out to Maine and all these families that are affected by this. This story, you know, absolutely broke my heart. A father and 14-year-old son are among the dead. And from what I understand, whenever the mom heard that there was a shooting, she went and she was standing outside, like waiting for some type of answer about what happened. And unfortunately, they are part of the dead. And so Bill Young and his 14-year-old son Aaron died at the bowling alley. Let me see, there was another one. So if for those of you who weren't sure of the locations, this is near the city of Auburn, and that's where the just-in-time recreation is. And then like a considerable distance away, to be completely honest, is where the bar and grill is. And then his vehicle was found. Oh, Amy, I hate it whenever it gets like super political. Hi, Daddy's baby girl. Yes, he does. He needs to be caught today. Hi, Tia. I don't think so. I mean, why escape, right? Why plan the escape? The press conference is in 20 minutes, Kelly. Why even bother escaping if you're planning to unalive yourself? We need to realize that there's no safe place and tomorrow isn't promised. We need to live life to the fullest. Right? I mean, listen, this type of stuff, I think it terrifies everybody whenever it happens. Makes you want to avoid gatherings. It makes you want to avoid you know, I mean, gosh, I told my husband, I was like, "This is why I struggle with the thought of not homeschooling Junior," right? With sending her out of the home because it's like, okay, you have this urge to want to protect your children, to want to protect your family, but at the same time, we cannot live in a constant state of fear. We can't do it. We have to still live our lives. Crazy people are gonna be crazy, whether they're gonna come to your home or see you in a place of business. Be vigilant, live your life and obviously be cautious of your surroundings and aware of your surroundings and do what you can. But at the end of the day, I mean, if somebody is gonna come in like a lunatic, they can get to you anywhere you go. Are you gonna avoid grocery shopping? Are you gonna avoid going to the movies? Are you gonna avoid churches? Are you gonna avoid bowling alleys? Are you gonna avoid, like, we have seen these actions take place multiple locations. And while you can blame the weapons, and I understand that there is people who blame the weapons, it's not the weapons, it's the people. Because I'm gonna tell you, I live in Pennsylvania, not even 45 minutes from my house, we had a mass stabbing at a school. We had a child go to school and he stabbed, I think it was like 19 kids. And so this happens whether they have guns or not. Let me see. I can't remember how many. He stabbed 20 people in 2014. So this one is a father of five, a sister's hero. It says details emerge of victims from the mass shooting rampage. This one is, they talk about this father who actually tried to stop him. And so it says the shootings in Lewiston, Maine on Wednesday have horrified the tight-knit community, with details emerging on Thursday of victims as a massive manhunt continues for the gunman. Of the 18 victims, 7 were found dead at the bowling alley, Just in Time Recreation, and 8 were found at the bar and grill, while 3 others died at the hospital, according to the Maine State Police. So Peyton Ross Brewer was playing at the cornhole tournament when he was killed. Arthur Artie Strout said his father had just left the bar minutes before receiving a call that there was an active shooter at the restaurant. He left behind 5 children. Joseph Walker was the manager of the bar, and his father, Leroy Walker, is a city councilor at the nearby city of Auburn. They said that he had been killed after picking up a knife and trying to stop the gunman. Yeah, evil exists, unfortunately. Right, you could shut yourself in, but we have to live life. Cammy. No, we have Junior and we have Junior. I just call them juniors. There are a lot of people who probably know their names, but I just keep it vague, because people on the internet can be wackadoos, unfortunately. Okay, so Trisha, we had seen her picture on the other one. She was at the bowling alley and, let's see. She ran around the corner and was trying to call 911 when she was shot. Her sister managed to escape. And then Brian McFarlane. One of the first deaf people in the state of Vermont to get his commercial trucking driver's license. He loved riding his motorcycle and hanging out with his dog named Eminem. I don't know. It's just heartbreaking. It's just really heartbreaking. Hi, Riddler. Let me see what type of updates we have here. Like I said, we're waiting for the press conference. Starts in about 18 minutes. Let me switch you guys over here to this other. We'll see what this video is. 80 watching, 34 thumbs up. It's hard to like streams like this, but it is important, guys, to help the channel, to help spread the videos into the algorithm. Please, I do ask you to hit the like button.
October 25th at approximately 6:56 p.m., the Auburn Communications Center received a 911 call of a male shooting in just-in-time, or the spare time, recreation center in the town of Lewiston, located at 24 Mollison Way in Lewiston. Shortly after that, at about 7:08 p.m., the Communications Center received multiple 911 calls about an active shooter inside of a Schmenge's Billiards at 553 Lincoln Street in the town of Lewiston. 18 people are now deceased at this time. The victims at the just-in-time establishment, 7 people are deceased there, 1 female and 6 males, all from an apparent gunshot wound. Victims at the Schmegley's Billiards, 8 are deceased. 7 males inside the establishment, 1 male outside of the establishment. Again, also apparent gunshot wounds. Multiple people were transferred to area hospitals, Central Maine Medical Center, St. Mary's, and Maine Medical Center.
Yeah, that was yesterday. I was just seeing, no, that was yesterday's presser. Sorry, guys. I was just seeing what the video was. This one says, who are the victims of Maine's mass shooting? Here are the identities that have been confirmed so far. We're still 15 minutes out from today's presser, just so you guys know. We are waiting to see that. I'm hoping they're able to give some type of update. We learned this morning that he had left behind a cell phone and a letter, but still no information about where he could have gone. So this is 1 hour ago. This video came out. It looks like it may be part of the press conference too from yesterday, but we'll see. It's 8 minutes long.
Last night, local, county, state, and federal law enforcement officers from around the state of Maine responded to reports of an active shooter at several locations in Lewiston, including Spare Time Recreation and Schmenge's Bar and Grill. These law enforcement officers, in the face of danger, responded swiftly, selflessly, and with great bravery. Bravery that they continue to demonstrate today as they search tirelessly for a person of interest in connection with last night's events. On behalf of all Maine people, I express my deep gratitude for your response and for your continued service. I also do so for Maine's hospitals and other medical emergency responders. I'm profoundly saddened to stand before you today to report that 18 people lost their lives and 13 people injured in last night's attacks. In memory of those we lost and in honor of those who were injured, President Biden and I have ordered all U.S. flags and state of Maine flags to be lowered to half-staff immediately for the next 5 days. Maine State Police have issued a shelter-in-place order for Lewiston, Lisbon, and Bowdoin as the manhunt for that person of interest, Robert Card of Bowdoin, continues. I will let law enforcement speak to the ongoing manhunt and to their investigation. But Mr. Card is considered armed and dangerous, and police advise that Maine people should not approach him under any circumstances. I continue to strongly urge Maine people to follow the direction of state and local law enforcement amid this ever-changing situation. Please, if you see anything suspicious, please 911. There are still many things we don't yet know about these attacks, but the full weight of my administration is behind law enforcement's efforts to capture the person of interest, Robert Card, to hold whoever is responsible for this atrocity accountable under the full force of state and federal law, and to seek full justice for the victims and their families. We cannot and we will not rest in this endeavor. My administration is coordinating closely with local, regional.
Okay. Do you guys want me to keep playing this? This is from yesterday. I wanted to see what the victims were saying because that's what, who are the victims of the Maine mass shooting? So I thought maybe the video would be addressing the victims, and it is not. It's just the press conference. And so it says 18 people were killed, 13 more injured in the pair of mass shootings on Wednesday evening. Police say Robert Card opened fire inside of both a bowling alley and a nearby bar. As the manhunt continues, the names of the victims, and are starting to emerge. 7 people died at the Spare Time Recreation, 6 males, 1 female. 8 more died at the nearby bar and grill, all of them male. So this one, goodness, where did it go? So this one, this Joseph Walker, he went after him with a knife. And then this Michael is the other one where him and a friend, him and his son, and a friend, according to Michael Sr., okay. So Michael Jr. and his friend made sure that their wives and several children were safe before charging at the shooter. He said both men were killed. I'm going to assume that these two may have been friends together and that they went after him. And so they died a hero. I mean, they could have went and tried to hide, and who knows what would have happened. Would more women and children be deceased in this matter? The father that talked about his son broke your heart. Yeah. We're still about 10 minutes out from the press conference. I do have it pulled up over here in case they should start early for today's press conference, I should say. Okay, this one has 16 of the victims in it. So let me show you guys this. And I know it's heartbreaking to see the victims, but I want to honor them. I don't want to continue to honor this monster who did this, right? I would rather the focus be on the lives that were lost, the families that are left behind. This guy is still out there though, so his picture does still need shared. His face does still need put out there. Not this guy. This is a victim, unfortunately. But this monster is still out there walking around, and so we have no clue where he is. I'm hoping that the press conference updates us about that, but I do want to focus on who the victims are as well. So this is the victims.
Of a tight-knit community group for the deaf, a father and his 14-year-old son, and a volunteer bowling instructor who shielded children from gunfire are among the victims killed in the senseless rampage. Authorities are not releasing the names of the victims, but their family members have been confirming their deaths.
KTLA's Mary Beth McDade is live in the news center with more on what we know about the victims tonight. Mary Beth.
Mike and Chair, 18 people lost their lives in a matter of minutes at two different locations, a bar and a bowling alley. Well, tonight we're learning more about who these victims are, several of whom tried to stop the shooter from killing others.
My son was a hero, took a long blade knife and tried to go after the gunman to stop him from shooting anybody else.
Leroy Walker is talking about his son, Joseph. Joseph was the longtime bar manager at Chimangi's Bar and Grill, one of two Lewiston locations. The shooter carried out his rampage that left 18 dead. 16 have been identified by family and friends.
The gunman shot him and killed him.
Leroy says he's not surprised by his son's actions.
I am proud of him. He was brought up that way. It was always to defend himself and his family. And these people have been his family for a lot of years now, working at Chimangi's.
40-year-old Brian McFarland, Stephen Vozella, and Bill Brackett were also killed at Chimangi's while participating in a cornhole tournament for deaf adults. Peyton Brewer Ross, a pipe fitter and new father, also died while playing cornhole. Josh Sealy, 36-year-old father of four and sign language interpreter, will be remembered for always putting his family first. 38-year-old Max Hathaway was at the bar playing pool. His wife and toddler had left early when the baby became fussy. And 44-year-old Arthur Strout was also playing pool. He leaves behind 3 children. Ron Morin will be remembered as an upstanding man with a lot of joy in his heart. Prior to the bar, the mass shooter walked into a nearby bowling alley, which was packed with kids and families, and opened fire. His first victim was 76-year-old Bob Violet. Bob had set up a youth bowling league and was in the middle of teaching children when the shooter walked in. 53-year-old Tricia Aslan worked at the bowling alley part-time, but that night her brother says she was bowling for fun. She was killed when she ran to the counter to call 911. Michael Deslaries was out for a night of bowling with friends and family. Among them, one of his dearest friends, Jason Walker. They made sure their wives and several children were undercover and then charged the gunman. Tom Conrad, the manager of the bowling alley, also died trying to subdue the shooter. He leaves.
You guys, seriously, there are so many men and this woman who stood up for all these kids. Imagine how horrible this could have been if these people would not have gone after him as soon as he walked through those doors. We could be talking about how many victims. How many? So, Tracy, the bowling alley is at a different location than the bar and grill. The bowling alley is a couple miles away, actually, and it was a youth bowling league that was going on. These people are heroes. Every single one of these people. How many victims could this monster have had? Thank God that they stepped up. They saved so many lives.
Behind a 9-year-old daughter. Among the others killed, Bill and Aaron Young, a father and 14-year-old son, out together, enjoying a night of bowling. Well, authorities say that there were also 13 other people injured. 3 of them remain in critical condition tonight. For now, reporting live here in News Center, Mary Beth McDade will send back to you guys in the studio.
This could have been so much worse. Thank God for these people who stepped up. So we're just waiting for this presser to start. Still not quite there yet. Yeah, not every hero wears capes, exactly. The bravery that had to take, watching him walk in and then going after him so that other people could be saved, knowing that you might lose your life. Just looking to check some of the other websites to make sure. Yeah, we're still waiting. Every stream is still waiting. Yeah, 18 deceased altogether, 13 injured, 3 still in critical condition, Seal. And this guy's still out there. Sorry, just checking to see. All of the different video sources to make sure nobody is already live. Let me see. So we're not sure, Lise. That's what they were talking about, was that they're unsure if he had a boat waiting, had a plan to escape that way, or anything like that. Okay, here's this.
Where is Robert Card and where are we in the investigation and the manhunt to find him? So short of that, as you said, useful information, but not what everyone is hungry for, what everyone is waiting for.
And we've talked about this a lot ever since this first happened on Wednesday. The unknown is the part that is uneasy for us and for Mainers who are, whether you're in Androscoggin County or Aroostook County or Cumberland County, wherever you are, you don't know where he is, so therefore you don't know that you're safe. You'd like to think you're safe, but you don't know. And so that's what we all want to come to resolution here, is that this man on your screen does get captured, and everybody can take the giant exhale that we've been holding our breath on now for a few days.
Well, and stating the obvious, and not to be overly dramatic, but with each hour that passes, it's also possible that he could be getting farther and farther away from the epicenter of where this happened in the Lewiston area. And so sort of the range of concern about our own personal safety grows with each hour that passes that he is at large, and at this point could quite possibly even be out of state. Now, of course, this is all speculation, but it's all things that people are thinking and talking about.
And because the state has not had a lot of experience with things like this, and if you go back to Corporal Cole a few years ago in Norwich Walk, our lost officer there, that manhunt took a few days, and we had to trust the process, and ultimately it yielded the result of them arresting the man responsible. So you have to kind of keep that faith, if you will, and trust the process here. There's so many hundreds of law enforcement officials in our state from all over the place, federal, state, local, all working to try to find the same person. So it's tough to just say, we know you'll get them. But ultimately that is what we have to believe and know. And we just hope that it happens sooner than later.
And meantime, it's impossible to carry on with life as usual. Many stores, businesses, schools closed, lots of events canceled. And people not feeling comfortable milling about like we normally would.
LL Bean closed for the second day in a row. That LL Bean obviously never closes. Hannaford, in most Androscoggin County locations, closed for the second day in a row.
Boo Will, from what we understand at this point, it is one that they are looking for. They have not identified a second at this point. Lise, thank you so much, hon, for your donating the memberships. That's so awesome. I thought they were starting because the news was talking over them and that lady was talking. But apparently it was just a sound check. There's a lot of reporters in there. I'm going to switch back over to the other feed where they were talking.
Put your own kids at risk. So.
Meantime, there's incredible sorrow and mourning happening. Governor Mills ordering that flags fly at half staff throughout the state of Maine, at federal buildings and state buildings, as a sign of respect for the people we have lost. 18 people dead so far. We haven't had any updates also on the conditions of those.
All right, morning. Thank you very much again for joining us. My name is Mike Sawstruck. I'm the Commissioner for the Department of Public Safety here in the state of Maine. We are going to
I'm going to audio boost it just a little bit. If you guys need to turn it down, you can. But this way, if it's low for anyone, you guys are able to hear. So there we go. So here we go. Audio boosted coming up.
going to give some further details from an operational standpoint about what happened overnight and kind of where we're going from here. But before we do that, I would like to ask Chief St. Pierre to come back up and join us and kind of touch on the Lewiston experience overall. Chief?
Thank you, Mike, and good morning, members of the media and the public who are watching closely as law enforcement continues to work diligently on this rapidly evolving investigation. The safety of our community remains paramount. I want to assure all that a tremendous amount of law enforcement manpower, time, and effort is being utilized around the clock, literally around the clock, in every effort to apprehend the suspect as well as to safeguard this community. As the chief of the Lewiston, Maine Police Department, I am extremely thankful for the community's outpouring of support being offered during this tense and trying time. I extend my deepest appreciation for all of our law enforcement partners who have responded from literally around this nation. Again, I will ask the community to be as patient as possible with this process, realizing that there are many moving parts in coordination of efforts involved between multiple agencies. We will attempt to provide as much information possible as this investigation proceeds forward. I would also like to acknowledge and thank the many businesses, restaurant owners, individuals who have provided meals and other essential items to support an investigation of this magnitude. Following this press conference, details will be shared regarding counseling locations, where somebody can make a donation if necessary or asked, and the hosting of several different vigils. On behalf of the hundreds of law enforcement officers who have descended upon our great city over the last 3 days, we want to extend our heartfelt support as well as our sympathies to the victims and families involved in this senseless tragedy. Thank you, and I'll turn it back over to Mike.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. So I guess for starters, I want to make sure that we always take a moment to acknowledge the victims, their families, and how this is negatively impacting the state of Maine, the city of Lewiston, and really our entire country. We know when these things occur around our country, we are all so incredibly focused on what happened, and then we try to get to the why. And there are certainly times when we can't quite figure out the why, because every one of these situations is so tragic, so outside of the norm, that it makes it difficult for community members of all types in all locations, East Coast, West Coast, it doesn't matter, to fathom how these kind of things can occur in the greatest country in the world. So we're going to continue to work towards that. And as a piece of this, I wanted to come in and really speak to the partnership that we are committed to have with you. And as we start to really flow into an operational period, we have more of a pattern to see what we're doing day in and day out. I'm going to commit to you to have a morning briefing every day at 10 o'clock right here in this location. As you can imagine, some of those briefings may be longer than others, but I want you to know that you're going to see us in the morning. And we're going to go over what happened overnight, and we're going to kind of talk about what the plan of the day is. And I'll speak to that plan of the day here in just a second. I will also say that we will certainly be considering afternoon briefings as well. If something new came up or something that we believe would be helpful for you to know and the communities to know, then we'll get back to you. Either way, you will receive a communication from our PIO, Shannon Moss, either saying we're going to have a briefing or we're not, so that you kind of have some idea what your day and your afternoon is going to look like as well. So I would also say that these daily briefings, as you can imagine, will be more operational in nature, that our families, our communities, our loved ones are always going to be in the forefront of our mind and certainly in our hearts. But we do want to talk to you about this is what we're going to do. This is what we did, because I know that's incredibly important to you. And then you're going to share that appropriately with your viewers, with your readers. And that's going to help everybody start that healing process as well. I know that information is power. You also know that there's going to be times that I won't be able to give you all the information that you need, or certainly that you want. And that won't be done because we're just not going to tell them. That's going to be done because from an operational standpoint or a tactical standpoint, there are safety concerns that I have for our first responders and that we all have for our community members. So please keep that in mind. I will go back to like a Q&A kind of a period. We want to allow that opportunity, and we're going to try to do the best we can. But if in my mind the math starts leading to, well, I'm going to get asked 10 questions and I can't answer 9 of them, then maybe that's counterproductive to a certain extent. So we're going to try to front load as much information as we can, again, with these particular sessions. So that is kind of the plan moving forward. And to speak to today's briefing in particular, I would tell you that the overnight hours, and we are on 24/7, and we will be until the suspect in this case, again, is brought to justice. So overnight, our officers, our investigators, and that's investigating, and I say I'm talking about local, county, state, federal, all of our partners, been continuing to work 530 plus tips and leads that have come in from the general public, from a number of communities, a number of different relationships. And as you can imagine, those vary greatly depending on that individual's knowledge of what happened and what they want us to do about that. So we're continuing to check those things off the list as we go. We're also continuing to do searches at the 2 primary venues here. The one being Schmenge's Bar and Grill, and the second being the Spare Time Bowling Alley. I will tell you that it's going to be easy to think, well, how come, what's taking them so long to work these scenes, right? And because everything we watch gets solved in an hour and it's all taken care of. But in order for us to do our jobs, to be professional about what we do, be respectful of the victims and the families that we're working with in the process within which we work, we have to take our time. We're going to be processing every square inch of these facilities. Not only do you have the victims in question, but every one of those rounds that got fired need to be investigated. Every one of those cartridges that lays on the ground needs to be collected. The vehicles that are in those parking lots, everything that we do around this, we need to be careful. We need to be professional, and that's what we're committed to do. So I would expect that we're still days away from completing those particular investigations, those particular crime scenes. So you'll continue to see us at those locations without question. And because of that, there are also affidavits, and affidavits are essentially the first step in a search warrant or an arrest warrant or whatever that looks like. So we're continuing to draft affidavits ultimately for search warrants around any kind of digital media that we're hoping to attain or investigate. That could be phones, that could be computers, that could be video from any location. So our officers, our investigators continue to work on that material. And so that's a lot of that stuff overnight, as well as using that 3 o'clock, that 4 o'clock in the morning, using that time frame to kind of plan out what the next day is going to look like. So we've trying to get some people rotated through for operational periods. We're going to get them some rest. Now let's plan what the next day is going to look like. We have a morning briefing, which kind of kicks off and says, this is what's going to happen. We need a team to go do this. We need a team to go do that. This is who our team leads are. This is the process. And then we let those folks loose to go do the good work. And we're going to try to share some of that information with you. So as we discuss that, we have some maps and some other additional information up here with us right now. I will talk about a couple of these locations here to the best of my ability. Obviously, there's a lot of us here, and this isn't ideal as far as these maps go. But if you look at this boat launch overview as an example, this dot here is that Lisbon boat launch area that we've discussed. That's where the suspect's vehicle was located ultimately, that white Subaru station wagon. And I will also say that we'll have these 3 primary maps, but this QR code here, and whether you can get it from your seats or come up after the fact, will give the digital version of those, so you have those readily available. You certainly understand how all of that works. So we talk about that boat launch area, and that particular location is 501 Lisbon Street. Pejebscott Landing. Pejebscott Landing is at this location. I believe we have some of our friends from the media that are out in that area now. And what will happen in this general location today is that we will be putting divers in the water along the Androscoggin River, which you see here. And that's going to look like a couple of different things. So the very first thing that you're going to see out there is you're going to see some air resources that will fly over this particular area. And they're looking to see what can we clear from the air. Do I have to put divers in that particular area, or can I tell from the top based on the current and how muddy the water is and all those other things? Can I see to the very bottom here? So that's going to start this entire process. Then there's going to be some screening and some divers that are actually in the water that may start on this side by the boat launch and will continue on this side. I would envision at some point that we'll be moving over to these particular locations here for ground searches as well. So that's gonna look like a bunch of different things. So they could be dragging a diver behind them, literally, while that diver is checking for evidence, checking for potential bodies. And I would also say that while this is going to look like a major focus today with a lot of people, we have a lot of other irons in the fire. So I'm not here saying that the suspect, we know the suspect is in the water and this is what we're doing. What I'm telling you is you're going to see a lot of activity here. And I'm going to tell you that in advance. We've got nothing to hide in that regard at all. So then you're going to have some sonar as well that's going to be utilized here. And that can look like a couple of different things. A remote operating vehicle, an ROV, is divers could use that. And that will look like a pod under the water. And that is looking for sonar. So picking up shadows, if you will, of what does that look like? Could be a log, could be anything under there. And our divers, that dive team, and that, when I say, again, our divers, that's going to be teams from all over the place. Our Maine Warden Service is heavily involved in this. We work with them all the time. The Maine State Police dive team will be in the water and will be leading this initiative. So that's what we'll see here with a couple of different kinds of sonar. And then along the shoreline, you're going to see a line search, if you will. That means literally officers on line as they're working that shoreline. And of course, they're looking for evidence. They're looking for anything that may help them down the road. Now, I say you'll see this because for us, we want to make sure that we're working with you. So there is a church parking lot across the road here. And there's also some parking available on this side of the road. Mark Laddie, who is the PIO from the Maine Warden Service, and some officers will be in this area to assist. So if you decide that you want to go to that location to pick up video and see what they're up to, then I think there's some parking opportunities here. This 196 can be busy. This area here happens to be pretty low speed. At least that's what the speed limit is. So we're going to be around there to try to keep that as safe as possible. What we want you to be mindful that we may ask you not to stand on a railroad trestle, or, we want you to get your coverage. We want to be partners with you. However, you're not going to be able to have full access to that site. I think that's common sense. And we want to make sure that you can do your jobs and we can help you facilitate that. So you're going to see a bunch of people in that area, that 531 Lisbon Road. A couple of these other locations, if we start here, this is the bowling alley scene. This red dot is actually where that is. You all understand that. We will have some additional officers there checking this wood line and continuing to do those sweeps, those searches. There was a lot of shots fired in these locations. We want to make sure we have all the evidence humanly possible. And then this is far from ideal, considering it's directly behind the podium. But this is, can we do that? We're jammed in here with the wall. Yeah, we may lean towards that QR code. If you can't see that, I apologize. We'll have to take a look at this particular option in the future if this works for us. But the bar and grill here, there is a red dot, and you can see some wood line around that. Each one of these locations is going to have lots of police officers there, as you imagine. A piece of all of these things will have a QRF, or a quick reaction force. So we're going to maintain security here because clearly, as you realize, the suspect in this case is not in custody. That continues to be our focus. And I think if you look at these two things, we have an investigative bucket with a great deal of resources that are investigating the crime, what occurred. And there's clearly an apprehension team here with a lot of folks that are involved in that. And of course, they're going to intermingle. That's a given. But I think in this scenario, I want you to keep those two things in mind because even though we're going to be active with this search and the investigative side, always in our mind, we're going to be looking for the suspect and making sure that the people that are involved in these various searches, to include yourselves, are safe. So that is clearly another focus that we have in mind. I would also like to talk about, if we talk about procedures, you talk about practices. There was a lot of activity last night from members of the media in Bowdoin. And what I would tell you is that I'm showing you these 3 locations. There's a bunch of others that we're going to be working on. And that's not, so we don't have 50 maps up here. We're just going to be working on other locations. And that's not meant to be secretive. That's just to tell you that we're going to be all over the place. That's not saying that we know that the individual is in this house, or we know the individual is in that house, or they're in that swath of land, this acreage. That's not what we're doing. But we do look at all these situations as if the individual could be in there. And if that's the case, you'll see tactical teams at some point. A lot of folks are just dressed in a more casual manner, or a BDU, a battle dress uniform, just because they're going to be out in the woods and they're going to be out crawling around. So that doesn't mean, just because we're making announcements on over a PA system, that the individual is in there and we have an armed standoff and there are police swarming. It's just a lot of resources that it takes to work these scenes, right? I mean, I think that part of it, again, is common sense. And we want to be as forthright as we can around that as well. We won't be able to say every time we're hitting a location, hey, we're going to be at this spot, and because it's just not practical, and it's not safe for a lot of folks. So if you hear announcements in PA systems, as an example, a piece of that is us just giving notification that, yes, in fact, we are the police. We are going to be knocking on this door. We would like you to come out if you're in there. Some of that is case law oriented. Some of that is best practice. And some of that's just standard operating procedures from our end. So keep that in mind. If you have a question, you can certainly reach out to Shannon Moss. Many of you have, and if we can answer it, we will. And it may not be immediate, but we're going to do the best we can to do that. And I think we'll be better at that, again, as we kind of get into this flow. Now we know what we're working with. It's starting to settle in as much as a tragedy like this can. And again, we want to be good partners with you across the board. So let me just take a look to make sure I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. I would also say that this is a big deal here, this particular link, and Shannon will be sending that out through her media list. So this is a digital tip line. And what a digital tip line would mean is anybody, yourselves included for whatever reason, if you've got a photo, if you got a video of what happened, or something that you think is evidentiary in nature, you think that it would be valuable for us to have, you can upload that information through that link. And that link stems from best practice in other communities where tragedies like this have occurred, that a lot of people have a lot of information. Where does it go? Maybe this is the key. I don't think they know that, or they probably do know that. 75 other people sent it to them. Send it to us anyway. And we want to see that information. So that's pictures, that's video, that's any of that kind of material to that particular link. And again, the QR code is something that we already talked about from a mapping perspective. I would say that our ongoing victim services efforts, that is something that we're working with victims' families, the community as a whole, and we are working with families that have currently been notified. We're continuing to identify victims in this case, and as those occur, additional resources will be available to the general community. I would say, again, as a little bit of a reminder, some searches you may see, well, why does that search have an armored vehicle involved? And then they're walking along the river, shoulder to shoulder. Some of those are going to be tactical ground searches versus just a kind of standard line search or grid search. The Maine Warden Service do this stuff all the time. They're incredible, searching for people, and incredibly valuable for us as it kind of expands out to evidence in many of these circumstances. We do clearly continue to have air assets, whether that's helicopters or planes, just because they're involved. Again, as we mentioned here, right? That's going to be an overview. They're just flying over that site. It may be hovered someplace else. Is that because we found the suspect? That's not a guarantee that that's the case at all. I would also tell you probably new information. Initially, that first night, we had 70-ish or so witnesses. The FBI has been incredibly helpful with things that may sound as simple as you got to transcribe 70 plus witness statements. They're bringing a lot of resources to play. And so we're continuing to do a lot of that work behind the scenes as well. I think that the shelter-in-place order, right, that's currently in place for Lewiston, Auburn, Lisbon, and Bowdoin. When you hear the names of those communities, obviously, you know that a lot of our focus, a lot of what occurred in those communities, whether it's Bowdoin, because that's where the suspect's house was, Lisbon, where the car was located, or Lewiston, Auburn, some conversation earlier about Auburn locations, and Lewiston, where the focus of those first two tragic active shooter situations occurred. That's an ongoing conversation that we'll have every minute of every day. Does it make sense that those orders are still in place? And can we relax those, change those? They have not been changed in any way at this point. But we realize that we want to keep our community safe. So that's the forefront of our minds. But we know that a shelter-in-place order in general, similar to orders around COVID, can have some negative impacts on families and going to school and businesses and all those other things. So we have that in our mind. There is that pluses and minuses chart that's just kind of active as we kind of work through this thing. So know that we are actively thinking about that. And truth be told, working with specifically right here in Lewiston, working with our officials, working with Chief St. Pierre, working with the mayor and others, having conversations about what does that mean? And what is that going to look like this afternoon, tomorrow, and in moving forward. So I think that's enough sharing from my end. That's a lot of information to overload you with there. I would want to come back, however, to say that there's a lot of stuff going on here, but what matters to us again is the safety of our communities, the safety of our residents. We care about each and every one of them, as you do. And we're going to continue to fight on their behalf to bring this individual to justice, because we know that has an impact on starting that healing process. It's not a slam dunk. It's not when we got them now, everybody's better. This is going to take a while, right? It's going to take a while for communities to work through. It's going to take forever for families to work through. You lose somebody that you love. That's a big, big deal. So I don't want to get lost in the minutia of this is what we're doing, and this is a map, and it's a QR code. It always comes back to this other stuff for us. So again, we're going to try the Q&A deal and see where we go. Go ahead, right here. Yeah, so we've heard the same thing, and there was a note at one of these residences. I'm not prepared to really talk about what that included. And I think that's probably, again, a common sense answer because that does involve, is there a mindset here? Is there a motive? What did that entail? So we'll definitely continue to work on that. And when we can release it, we certainly will. Sir. Right here, sir.
Commissioner, so in reference specifically to what's behind you and what's going on at the river, is there any information that you have that's leading you in the direction that he may have killed himself and his body is in there, or is it just one of the possibilities?
Well, I think that one of the possibilities is key, right? Because clearly we don't have him located at this point. We don't have him in custody. So all of those options are on the table. We certainly don't want to wait too long because the river is a big piece of this. The car was located there. Evidence is located in the vehicle or right there along the shores of the Androscoggin River. So that's stuff that we want to make sure that we're checking, and we're using the resources that we have available. We're using the expertise that we have available with the dive team and all our partners to make sure we're checking that at the same time, right? We're checking all these other things. We're working through the crime lab on this other information. So all of those things are occurring at the same time. I would also state, and I want to make sure that I say this because they've been very, very helpful. The Brookfield Power Company owns 2 dams, operates 2 dams in this area. And they've been very cooperative. You know, they live it every day. So as an example, one of the things that we're doing, the river currently runs at like 8,500 cubic square feet per second. And when they tighten the dam tools down, they actually lower that down to like 5,500 cubic feet, right? Does that mean anything to you? What it means to us is that that current, if we can slow that current down, we can lower the amount of water in the river, it's certainly easier for us to work. It's easier for our divers to see in clearer water than muddier water. If it's a foot lower than it was before, it's easier for us to work. And there's different searches, obviously, but unfortunately, people lose their lives in bodies of water on a regular basis. So this is something that we're trying to dial it in. But yes, sir, right here. Yep.
Deer hunting starts tomorrow.
It sure does. Yep. Yeah, sure. So I've had conversations with Commissioner Camuso, Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. Judy's great. We are having those conversations. I would expect to hear more about that later in the day. It's a big deal in Maine. It may not be a big deal for a lot of people from other communities, but we know what that's going to look like. We also know we're in the woods. You know, if you just happen to be in the woods, minding your own business, going for a walk, that's going to make us a little concerned, right? So it's definitely a good question. It's something that we're actively working on. Right here, sir.
Talk about this tremendous amount of assets here and the search for him. Can you talk about the pressure you guys are feeling to find him, to give this community some sense of answers as this enters its third day?
Yeah, sure. I think, you know, pressure is one way to put it. I mean, we're concerned about the victims, their families, and our communities. I'm concerned every day, 24/7, 365 at this point for 30 years. That's why I got into this business. We do want to help people. We do want to make them safe. Making them safe and making them feel safe may not necessarily be the same thing either, right? Because I think our law enforcement partners, our first responders around the state, everybody is dialed in. They do that all day, every day. This is clearly a completely different animal. So for us, we want to make sure that we bring this individual to custody, but we got to do it right. We got to do it the safe way. Don't want to see anybody else get hurt, certainly our people and our community members. So we want to make sure that we do that right. We're not going to be rushed, but we're running right on that level. That we're going to work as hard as we can, as fast as we can, with as many resources as we can to try to bring some kind of closure. It's a good question. Right here, ma'am. Right here, ma'am.
We understand that the family's being cooperative. What are they telling you?
Oh, I think whether you see the 530 tips and leads overall, I think we're seeing a lot of cooperation across the board. I'm not going to speak to anybody in particular, but I think there's a lot of cooperation. There's a lot of compassion here. There's empathy that people understand what happened here, not only to the victims, but again, to the state and to our country. So people are coming forward. They are participating in the process, and that's just the nature of the beast. But I'm not sure I answered it. So go ahead and follow up. That's okay. Yeah. Yeah, so I won't speak again specifically to what anybody said one way or the other, but we do appreciate everybody's cooperation because we know that this is difficult for everybody. No matter how you could be the neighbor of somebody. This is tough for people to digest and understand and to try to work through. So that's a good right here, sir. Right here. Yeah.
Families told there were warnings provided to law enforcement. Which agencies received those warnings, and did you think at any point that it might warrant a yellow flag pursuit?
Well, I'm heavily involved in the yellow flag conversation overall, but the reality for today is I'm not going to talk specifically about who knew what and when. We're still actively involved in a very dynamic situation here, and we're focused on an individual that currently has 8 warrants out for murder. We're trying to figure that part out, trying to bring him into justice as well as investigate this crime. There will be a time when we're... I cannot confirm that one. So, sir, right here, you.
Senator Collins said that the yellow flag law should have been enforced in this situation. So as you stand here today, what is your response to that? And also, as you stand here today, was law enforcement notified of the threats that he was making, of his condition? Were they aware of it, and what steps were taken to investigate?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. And Senator Collins is great. We have a great federal delegation that works incredibly hard on behalf of the state of Maine. I don't know exactly what the good senator said. I respect her a great deal. So I won't answer to any comments that she made. If that's her perspective, based on what she knows through the general public or otherwise, then that's fine. She certainly has the right to do that. But based on what I've seen, we're going to continue to work through that. We asked good questions. It may even have been you, sir, around the firearm itself. And there's going to be an opportunity. The ATF is here. The ATF is working with us. They have been there since the first second. There's going to be an opportunity to answer all those questions and figure out, so was that a violation or not? It's also an opportunity from an educational standpoint to talk about what that really means, what that really looks like, and what the options, in fact, are.
The thing is that folks folks want to know.
I'm gonna go over here though, sir. So I appreciate the follow up and the initial question. You.
Talk about timeline yesterday. 911 calls. Do you know the time, precise times that police arrived on the scene?
Arrive, no. So it was 6:56 for the initial call, and then 7:08 for the second call. Multiple calls for each location, and so that's what I had. I don't know exactly when they arrived, other than to say these calls in any scenario are a priority, to say the least. So everybody's going, and they're going as fast as humanly possible. So that's the. I'm not done answering the first question. So was that enough, sir? Does that make sense on that? I will take a look at the arrival time so that we have that information, and we may be able to provide that at the different. And I would say this, okay? The way this is going to work, just so we're all clear, the way this is going to work is if we have a Q&A and you ask me questions and I attempt to answer them, as soon as we start yelling over each other, I'm done. Just so we're clear. And we don't want to do that. We're trying to be as cooperative as we can across the board. But we'll be back another time, and we're just trying to figure that out. Yes, sir, right here.
We're coming up on 48 hours. Are you concerned the trail is growing cold?
I think that every minute that this goes on, we're more and more concerned, because what's the next thing that's going to happen? And we understand that. And that's why we're working 24/7 to bring this individual to justice and to try to bring some closure and overall safety to our communities. So yes, we feel that just as much as the community member does or any of us. This is a privilege. This is an honor we have to do something about these tragedies when they occur. In many instances, I've been in those scenarios. This happens out of state. And you're sitting on your couch wishing you could do something to help. Well, we're in a position to do something to help, and we will. There's no question in my mind that we will bring this individual into custody one way or the other. I'm going to take one more question from you, sir, and then we're going to be done.
That you've identified 16 out of the 18 bodies, and if so, can you confirm the demographics, please?
Yeah, and I think that that may be a question, the specifics may be a question for a future briefing. We have identified and notified the families of 8 of the 18 fatalities that were involved in this incident. We mentioned those 8 murder warrants, and the reason why we have 18 victims, we only have 8 of those warrants. That's because 8 of those people have been identified, and 8 of those people, the families have been notified, which is certainly key for us to make sure we get that right. But further demographics around that, the colonel gave gender yesterday, and we'll take a look at ages and some other information. I'd like to be able to honor the group of victims by talking about them in a specific session that I would view coming shortly. 8 of the 18 have been identified and notified, not 16, and I don't know where that came from. So thank you very much. I do appreciate it. We will see you again along the way. Thank you.
Still everyone? Come on.
"16" came from that CNN article. I think that was CNN, right? That we were looking at that said 16 had been identified. And so now we know that is not necessarily true unless it is people who are just doing it through Facebook. I'm not sure. But you heard it from him, 8 identified out of the 18. That was honestly, I swear that was the best press conference. As far as, like, in a situation like this, if I was living in that community, that is the type of press conference I would need, because I would wanna know everything that was going on. They don't need us to go stand out there and watch everything that's happening and try to decipher what we think is happening. He just stood there and told us, "Look, this is where we are at. This is where you can park if you wanna come watch us. This is what's going on. This is where we're gonna be looking. This. Like, that was beautifully done. Very well done. Very well organized, very informative, and exactly the stuff that we need to hear. So I got the QR code. I scanned it during that press conference there, whenever they showed it. And so let me pull up these documents. Let me see here. Let me pull up the different things. It's really just Google Earth images, to be honest. Yeah, it was very controlled, and I loved that he called out the reporters for talking over each other and being disrespectful. Like that was great. So this is just basically overviews. It's just the photos that he had showing exactly where they're looking. And let's see. And the overview of that, all that jazz. So this is from the QR code. Yeah, I loved the honesty out of him. Exactly. Right. Some press conferences try to keep everything a secret, and I understand the need for secrecy, right? We don't necessarily need to know exactly which tree they're looking under or exactly, whatever, but this community is a small, close-knit community that is not prepared for something like this. This is a rural community with a lot of trees, a lot of rivers, a lot of water, a lot of places for this guy to possibly be hiding with the giant unknown of where is he. And so being honest about, hey, if you see us looking in your tree line, doesn't necessarily mean that he's here. It means that he's looking. We are searching this place. We are searching that place. This is where you're going to see us today. I understand needing to know that as a civilian for my own peace of mind and sanity. Riddler had pointed out earlier, could you imagine being the person who is hungry or needs toilet paper or, needs delivery? Are the mail carriers still running? All of the people who are still having to live their lives. What about the doctors, nurses, people who still have to go to work? Are they leaving their homes with that confidence that they are going to be safe? And I think this press conference, the details that he put out, that is needed so that these people feel confident and being able to still perform their duties. But they are still on lockdown. 700, I think 700, was it acres or miles that they said it is locked down? Let me get back to that. So 700 square miles in the state of Maine is still considered a shelter in place order, right? And so that's a huge area, a huge, huge area that's affected by this. With shelter in place orders. I mean, it tells you to shelter in place if able. You're still able to go places though. There's still people moving around in the community. So it's all scary. It's all scary. Malicious intent, I'm totally on, but I'm definitely getting off. But here's the thing, guys. So I am not working until 3 p.m. today, and then I have a shorter shift and then on again tonight. I do intend to do another live about some true crime shenanigans and different things. I need an hour break so that I can get my kiddos fed and get myself fed and all the things. And then I will be back around noonish, noon. And so we're going to talk about some true crime stuff. So looking at the couple missing. I have a couple missing I'm going to show you guys. I have the lawsuit for oh my gosh, why is my brain like frozen right now? The lawsuit between Rebecca Schofield and Ashley Gillard for Idaho 4, the TikToker who went crazy and was accusing this random teacher. We're going to go over the new court documents for that. And then there is also, there's just a lot. There's a lot that I want to talk about today. And so this is going to be a day. This is going to be a day of live. So look forward to seeing you guys all here. If you're not subscribed already, then do so. hit the like button on the stream, even though it's terrible, awful news, to help get this information out there. Thank you so much to those of you who gifted memberships and showed your love and support today. And thank you so much for those of you who came and hit the like button and chatted. And to my mods, you guys are awesome. I love you so much. And thank you for staying with me. So let's check this out. So we got Lise gifted memberships 3 times. Holy smokes, Lise, 15 gifted memberships. B-Tim gifted memberships. Salty C is 6 months. Struggle is Real has been here for 12 months. In the Bushes, 20 months. 6 months for Lise and 7 months for Rexy. Love you guys so much for all of your love and support and standing by me while I go through this change in my life. And yeah, stay safe, everyone. If you're in this community, stay vigilant, listen to them. They're telling you what you need to know. So pray for Maine, pray for this community, and for the officers who will be out looking for this monster. So I'll see you guys at around noonish. So love you. Bye.